Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host here, Chantel Francis, with my lovely co-host, Tanya. How you doing today, Tanya?
I'm doing well. Clink, 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 everyone. It's another episode of our favorite dumpster fire franchise, The Bachelorette.
I mean, okay, I was having high hopes for this season, and I've been enjoying it, and I still am enjoying it. Mm-hmm. But this particular episode showed me all the reasons why I don't enjoy the show. It really, I don't like the formula that they're buying into right now, and it was a little bit tiresome. And so enjoying it on a whole, but I'm just kind of eye roll a little bit.
I agree. I wish they would stop pretending that they're filming a psychological thriller and accept that they're filming The Bachelor and just let it be what it is, because this is now I'm starting to believe and understand why this season allegedly ends early, or filming ended early, and this episode is filling space that we're not going to need later on or something, because what happened here? Thomas, just Thomas.
And this is the thing. I'm going to be a Thomas apologist for this recap, because I actually kind of feel bad for him. I think that he's been done a little bit dirty by producers. So whether he was a producer pick, what happens to people that the producer's oh, I think you'd be great on The Bachelorette, and they just come on, they're I don't know what I'm doing here. Oh, maybe I'll fall in love. And they entice them with maybe you can be the Bachelor. A lot of people that have been within the franchise, they get to go on Bachelor in Paradise. They get endorsement deals after. This could be definitely a stepping stone for your future. So would you want to be a contestant and see if you find love? Sure. And then now they're painting him as this super evil villain, really horrible person. And I think that if he wasn't even considering, if he was considering the whole Bachelor thing, what if it's just oh, let me see how much my image is going to be completely tarnished by people just hacking every word I say up into pieces. So the consideration of being the Bachelor, we're probably going to say this over and over and over again this episode. I don't think it's a qualifier for somebody being there for good reasons, because it's a fact that has to be considered. I'm sure they had to sign a contract.
Yeah, and I think he's right. I mean, I did wonder, based on what you're saying, I'm not on the Thomas apologist side, but I am on the, I don't think he's necessarily that smart, or just I guess maybe he's not trying to lie about his intentions or anything like that. I mean, he does kind of admit that he did consider wanting to be the Bachelor. So it's not like he's completely lacking awareness. He gets me later on in terms of the way he's able to kind of craft that conversation with Katie, where I'm oh, you're trying the hardest to stay. But all of that said, I did wonder if this was last season or any season where it's a Bachelor and a bunch of women, would they have been called bullies for doing this?
I don't think so. It's complete bullying in my opinion.
I was wondering if this would have been spun on a season with female contestants to be
well,
yeah.
Just think of Katie's, the last season, Matt's season, when the girls were when Heather came into the picture, and they're all we don't want you here. And they're just completely ostracizing her and pushing her to the side and not even allowing her to be part of the group because she, came in late. And they were completely told that they were bullies. And that's why I don't understand about this whole thing, that Katie wants people to come and tell her what's going on in the house, but then she's not really even making her own decisions, because it's whatever narrative these men have decided to take on to tell her, and then she's just kind of buying it because she feels insecure. So I'm pretty okay. I'm agreeing with Tamika here. Tamika's joining us today. Hey. I agree with you. I feel bad. I thought we'd be saying this later, but Tamika says that Katie is very annoying and personally a terrible lead, as she thought she would be. And I'm starting to personally feel this way myself. What did I write down? I wrote down somewhere that I feel that it's Katie's insecurities is why she needs all these guys to come and tell her these things. She doesn't trust that this really handsome man could actually be interested in her. And that, I think, is problematic too, because like, what if he is? Like, what if he's not great with like being on The Bachelor? What if he's not great at being The Bachelor? What if he is interested in exploring in a relationship with her? Like, why does everybody gets to say that he's manipulative? Everybody gets to say that he's there for the wrong reasons. Everybody gets to say that he's not interested in her. Everybody gets to say that he doesn't have any feelings for her. Everybody, like, but what if he does?
I just don't think he does. I think that's why. I think it's just like so blatantly obvious that that's why everyone. I think this is more unanimous than usual as well, which is partly why it's kind of like can't be ignored, in that basically everyone, even the men that disagree with the method of telling Katie, still don't like Thomas. Like,
but it's also really easy to hate the front runner, hate the person that seems to be like smooth talking her and like she's really all like but hard eyes for him. Like, it's really easy to be like, how could she likes him? Like, he's not a good guy. She'll figure it out within the process if he's not the right guy, without everybody going and tattletaling on her. And that's what I was also talking about yesterday. I was in the comments being like, I hate snitches, I hate tattletales, and I would hate all these men. Katie literally did the same thing. She's accusing Thomas. What do you mean?
I think that's why she appreciated, being told, because she's the one that told Matt about what was happening last season. So it's very much like, I don't know, a loyalty-driven decision, I guess. Which you would think I would be able to relate to more as a Taurus, but I don't actually. We'll get there, but I'm definitely more on the Andrew side of that exchange.
100% on Andrew's side. I'm like, go Aquarius. You're speaking exactly what I'm thinking right now, because like, I'm just like, I would be annoyed with all these men being like, what, you don't think that I'm intelligent enough to be able to suss out who I have a connection with and who I want to pursue something with? Like, she would figure it out in the end anyways. And if it was meant to be that they go all the way to the final two together and like then they break up, like that's the way their journey was supposed to be. But I feel like she didn't explore it because I do think she was having genuine feelings for him. And so to allow these guys to like bully her into not pursuing that because she feels that like, oh, well, if they don't like him, then I can't like him. I have a little bit of a problem with it. Beans also here. That certainly is an argument for that, Tamika. Yes, there is. Tamika says the fact that she's telling these men to be her snitch, and allowing them to tell her who to get rid of disgusts me. I mean, I don't know if it disgusts me, but it definitely makes me not a fan of Katie as a Bachelor. I just don't enjoy this whole like tattletale group mentality. Let's get somebody kicked off. Like, I don't know. I just really don't enjoy that at all. Yes, yep, Tamika. I think she was a snitch. She values snitches. I'm so not a snitch. Like, take it to the grave. Like,
I just don't think you're seriously in contention for being like the winner of this show when you have that arc. Like, I don't think being the tattletale is like the good person to be for actually winning the show. So I think, of course, people are going to egg him on, or whoever is like in whether it's Hunter, whether it's Trey, whether it's Aaron, whoever's the person that's opposing Thomas. Of course, you think Greg is dumb? Of course, Greg's going to egg on everybody that wants to get Thomas out, because it helps all of them for that to happen. So at a certain point, it's like all of these guys can try and pretend like they're doing it to protect Katie, but it is advantageous to all of them for Thomas to leave. Every single one of them. More than his loyalty, more than whatever he's saying, more than his lies, more than his manipulation. It's good for them if he leaves. So like, that's really what's happening here. And they're packaging it in, I'm trying to protect you, I care about you, Kate.
Yeah. I would be like, Terry's on my team, but I wish I could trade him for Andrew, because I think those were the last two.
Andrew,
I want to trade him for Andrew hard, because I appreciate 100% anybody that wants to protect her and wants to make sure that her heart doesn't get broken. Totally, I get that, but like also, we'll end up talking about it probably again, but the fact that like they're like, oh, well, you're ruining these rose ceremonies. It's like, actually, no, Trey, you ruined the rose ceremony because you brought this up, and then it ballooned into something bigger that Thomas felt that he needed to defend himself, and then he goes and tries to fix the situation. So if it hadn't have blown up, she may have come to her own conclusions anyways. You know what I mean?
And I think like there's people on these shows, like she knows she was on the show with Queen Victoria. There's people on these shows that are there to stir things up and probably encouraged to be kept for a while. So I think at the end of the day, it is a little bit like you really don't trust that she would figure that out eventually. Although we live in a world where Andy chose Josh Murray, so I don't know.
I mean, like she just wanted to believe him, and like I think that Katie could have been caught maybe in that way because like he's kind of. Well, I think that Josh Murray was more charismatic than Thomas is.
Slightly more, yeah.
And, like I think he did a better job, and it was a long time ago before this whole like platform and wrong reasons were such a big thing. So I can see Andy getting duped back then. This is like almost 10 years ago. So now I do not think that Andy
10 years ago, actually.
I don't know, probably.
Oh my God.
But like nowadays, though, I don't think that she would have been caught up in the Thomas of it all. Like she would be way too smart for that. So I think that it's also diminishing Katie's intelligence by them coming and being like, I don't think that you can make the right decisions because like you're not in the house and you don't see that he's manipulative. It's like, who are you to decide who's manipulative? Yeah. She pretended to have a connection with Matt, and when she really was there to be the Bachelorette, oh, shots fired. I don't know if she was there necessarily for the intention of becoming the Bachelorette because she's not the typical Bachelorette. So I don't even know if she thought that at that point that she would be in contention, especially when she left so early. Like, what, next week, basically? After next week, anybody left could be in contention of being the Bachelor, which is hilarious.
I don't think she was trying to be, but I think it definitely worked out to her advantage the way that season played out.
Yes, we were on Andrew's side the whole time. I totally
just love him. Yeah. He is like actually more than anybody else on the show seems like a person that I would want to spend time with and actually hang out with. He seems genuinely fun. And I feel like even if he's playing it up, he's able to be very charismatic naturally in a way that I feel comfortable watching on the show, which is refreshing.
We love Andrew. Awkward. And Team Andrew all the way. Team Aquarius, Team Andrew. Yep. So we have said that on Twitter. I think that Trey won the battle but lost the war. Well, Trey, I think, was grasping at straws for this whole episode because he's definitely not winning Katie's heart. Like, it's just like, it's not happening. And what about this whole notion of like, doth protest too much? Like all these people protesting the wrong reasons. Like, wait, maybe you're here for the wrong reasons for you to be pointing it out so much with everybody else. Like you only see in other people what kind of exists in yourself. So I'm just...
They're like, I don't want to be seen as a clout chaser. I don't want to be an influencer. Smash cut to like however many weeks from now this is over and all of these guys are shilling random products on their Instagram, meeting up with all the girls from Matt's season, doing this, doing that, Bachelor in Paradise stuff. Like, come on. Like, that's obviously...
You'd be like, no. I was only there for Katie. I am not going to take any of these, endorsement deals after the show because I don't want it to look like I wasn't there for the right reasons. Like, yeah, fucking right. Sorry, I swore. No. There's no way.
That's fine.
And also, too, like, what I think is really interesting is, like, if that was Thomas's intention... He didn't even set himself up for a success there. Like he only has 4 pictures on his Instagram. He has like 8,000 subscribers.
I feel like they're scrubbing their Instagrams now.
Maybe.
Like before I feel like as a result of everything ever that's happened. Because there were some people that like going in their profiles, I was like, there's no way you have like 6 photos only. Like that's so strange. Or like Twitter where it's like not really active, but they've had the account for like so many years or something like that, where I'm like, oh, you've hired someone or you've just like done a deep clean and people are going to come looking for whatever skeletons are in your closet. So you're like, I'm not even going to allow for anything to be out there, which is interesting. It's like, does that mean you have shit to hide or are you just being smart about how things are right now? Because people very excessively try and dig info about others.
Vivian has a question for you, Tanya. Do you trust the purity of humanity in these other guys?
No, never. Literally never.
No. But then like also the guys that are the saviors here, like the Gregs of it all has like 100,000 followers. And it's just very interesting though that like they villainized Thomas, who has 8,000, but like Greg is like 100,000 and he's not getting any. Well, he's getting a bit of flack.
Or like Christian, who's done nothing at all on this show, is like someone who's just like gaining followers. And I was like, if anyone's ever questioned the power of like mediocre white men, just look at the gains in social media that some of these dudes have got from this season. Where it's like, Greg, okay, he had the one-on-one date. I understand the increase, but he's just been steadily getting followers for just being unattractive white man.
Yeah, mediocre white.
With floppy brown hair. Like, he's just like on the rise. And then like Christian, I'm like, the guy said 10 words tops from what we've seen. Like, what is this? What's going on here?
Him. I mean, his last name is literally Smith. And he
like they could just be part of the simulation and we wouldn't even know. They could just be an extension of Instagram at this point.
Well, he has a few more photos like on Instagram, not gonna lie. He has 45 posts. He has 38.2 thousand followers. He's a professional optimist, certified life coach, real estate agent and investor in Boston.
Christian's a life coach?
Uncertified, yes.
Uncertified? Oh,
uncertified.
Okay, he's being like smart about that. He's being jokey about that. I was like, wait a minute, he's a certified life coach?
Thomas was five posts, 6,400 followers.
Thomas has so much to hide. Come on.
Lover of little things, surprisingly human, dog dad, San Diego.
Dog dad.
And he has just like 5 little pictures.
So I will share that I was looking at Bachelor data today, as I often do. And as much as Thomas was mentioned this episode, he still wasn't mentioned more than Dale was mentioned in Claire's season.
Wow. I was going to ask you today if I get some points for the fact that his name was every other word.
I think so. I think you get points for that because it also symbolizes his impact, which is just that people could not stop thinking about him.
They couldn't keep his name out of their mouth.
Entire episode.
The whole thing. So let's get to it. So they started off the episode with Thomas running. We know it's going to be all about him. We see Trey and Christian starting to talk about Thomas and his intentions. And I'm just like, I'm already starting to roll my eyes because it's just like, we get it. You don't like Thomas. He's not here for Katie. Boring. So what I wrote here, though, is like, I would be worried if people didn't think about being the Bachelor because it actually could be a shitty position to be in, having all this attention on you and like having to like look at what Matt's gone through. He didn't really have that great of an experience as a Bachelor. And so maybe they are considering in their head, like, oh my God, what if I was asked to be the Bachelor? Like, would I say yes? Like, what would happen? Da, 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 da. Like, anyway, so I would be more concerned if somebody didn't think everything through. Like, that would be ridiculous to go on the show and be like, I'm only here for love. And then like get bamboozled by like fandom and the Bachelor Nation and like completely have your entire identity just kind of stripped away from you. So if you didn't consider all possibilities, I have a problem with you. Like, I'd be like, ooh, you're a little bit delusional.
Yeah, of course. Like, and I think the ones that aren't considering it are insecure about the fact that they're not really in contention for it, you know?
They would never ever be. Actually,
like,
probably.
Sorry, but I'm not, like, no offense, Hunter, good for you, but I don't think you're on the list, bud. Like, it's not happening.
And I think it's Trey that says it. He's like, you can't go from wanting to be the Bachelor to loving Katie in 3 weeks. And I'm kind of like, think about what you said there. Like, none of you should be loving Katie in 3 weeks anyways. Like, no matter what, the circumstances are kind of inflated, anyways, blown up. And like it's just a really unrealistic situation. So the fact you're saying like you're qualifying, like you can't do both, but you can't do one. Like it's just you can do one. It's just weird. It's just dumb. It's the logic for me is not good. So you get some 5 points here because Thomas is talking to Courtney. He has his shirt off. In the conversation, they're kind of working out / talking. And I just wrote down there, I'm like, I just think Thomas is just dumb.
That's what I think. Yeah.
I think he's just dumb. I mean, I like him though. I still like him more than I like some of these people because at least he's just kind of normal still though. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't think he's the smartest person that we've seen. And I think that's probably why producers are drawn to him like a moth to a flame, because it must be so easy to just get him to do whatever.
Oh boy. So we see Katie coming out for the date that we didn't have concluded from last episode, since we only get like one date and a conversation about a man per episode now. We don't get a full thing in 2 hours. Not sure why, but maybe because they're stretching the season out.
I'm just wondering why they didn't bother doing the Peloton ads for the Bachelorettes. Like maybe Katie also wants to work out and clear her mind before a group date. I don't know.
Okay, question. Wouldn't that maybe be there for the wrong reasons if she starts to like help some Peloton? Like that means she must be getting some money. That means
it doesn't match her brand. It doesn't match her brand. I'm just curious.
Yes, I am correct. Yay! They had to consider becoming the Bachelor, especially after Katie finished in 11th place. Exactly.
You could be the Bachelor, like if you left night one at this point. Like,
I've considered being the Bachelorette. Like
I'm currently considering it as we speak. It's crossed my mind.
It's crossed my mind, and if I went on the season, I would. You know what? Though I would honestly not expect to meet somebody that I would be compatible with, because I don't think that they're going to do a great job with finding people that I think are super awesome. So I would be like, hey, what can I get out of the situation? Because I doubt I'll find love, and it would be a happy accident if we did. So I guess I'm just too realistic.
Be a Katie.
Katie's not realistic. Would be a Katie? No way.
That was their tagline for the ads. Be a Katie.
No, thank you. Sorry, Katie. Sorry, Katie. I mean, I think you're a very kind person. I want you to find love, but I didn't love this episode for you. So Trey, David, Andrew M, Connor C, Mike, Greg, and somebody else were on this date. What did I put the J for? So that she's looking for someone with a sense of humor. And this date, we already saw this last summer with Tayshia running around the resort where they had to do kind of these dares. It was a fun date. It didn't have any interactions with Katie though, which is like, I feel like these dates need to have, because the purpose is to fall in love with Katie, not just to display how embarrassing you are or like what you're willing to do and willing not to do. So I wish that she had a little bit more involvement in these dates. So the first thing that they had to do was see whether or not they would be willing to eat a bunch of carbs. What do you think about that task as a defining moment?
I have a theory.
Okay.
Before I answer that question that's related to this date. So when Nick Viall was on the episode doing the date that we hated, he said that at that point that he was there, that Katie already knew that Blake was there. So I feel like the energy of this group date and Katie's energy for the entire episode is that of a person who knows that someone that she likes is there, and that she has to pretend like they're not there, or that she doesn't like them as much as she does. And that's the vibe that I've been getting from her for this whole episode. And that's confirmed later on when she actually like interacts with him in person. But I just feel like even coming into this group date, I could see that. Like she's thinking about something else in my mind. So I don't know. That's my theory.
I didn't really put that theory into, like, I didn't think about it when I was watching it, but the whole time I just was trying to figure out the timeline exactly. I'm like, did this date actually happen before. I'm like, but no, it couldn't happen. And so I was trying to figure it out. It does seem like things are a little bit out of order though. So
yes, I could be wrong about the timeline, but I don't know. It just seems like something. Anyways, as for the Twinkies, I was watching this with my partner, and I said, I bet you he's going to talk about how he doesn't want to get fat for eating these Twinkies, and then that is literally what he said in the next sentence.
Which person? Who said that?
Mike.
Okay, Mike P.
He said, I haven't had a carb in 7 years. I'm like, you know, and then reference like, I guess I'm willing to like get fat for Katie, which all in of itself is wild, but. I don't know. I don't love watching people eat junk food in excess. I don't know. There's something gross about that many Twinkies.
I mean, that's repulsive to me. I don't think I've had that many Twinkies in my entire lifetime. So I'm not down with that. I like it on the challenge because it's just so disgusting. Like when you're seeing them like doing the gross food challenges in the challenge.
But at least it's like a gross thing. Like it's like something, there's a twist to it. It's not just like these sugary little snacks.
Yeah, Twinkies are gross. The plate of fettuccine, that was a lot. Like I would probably have 5 bites and I'd be like,
and
bursting.
The mashed potatoes and gravy, like all of these things are like things where like if you ate that much of it, you would feel awful because it's like such an overload to your body. Like that many Twinkies, you would be like, what? Like that's so much sugar to like consume in one sitting. Oh my god!
Like what was it? 5,400 calories or something like that. That's like that's not good.
400
like
calories, yeah.
I mean, it's like, oh, you want to try to kill me? Like that's not good, Katie. It's not nice. Agreeing with your assessment of the timeline. Okay, hi Patrice. So Patrice says he has the same white blouse that she wore on the intervention group date when she's talking to Blake.
I didn't notice that, but that makes sense. Makes sense.
So that so that was what Nick Viall had said that she talked to Blake before she went on the intervention date. But do we know if that group date happened before or after the intervention date, actually?
I'm wondering about that, but I guess they would have been in succession of each other, right? Because didn't we not get the second group date, and this is what that is?
But we never got the date card. Like the date card didn't come. I don't remember anyways.
Okay. I don't know if she met Blake before the intervention, but she did meet Blake within the time frame that Nick was there. He didn't say specifically if it was before the date, but she knew that he was there.
Okay, I felt that it makes sense before the date. Well, she's wearing the outfit, so
probably, like what else is Nick doing? Anyways,
I'm just wondering with this date today, was that before or after the intervention date? You know what I mean? Like it could have been before. We don't really know that timeline.
That's true.
Good sleuthing, yes. But do we know when this date came into play? Anyways, point being is I wish that there was a little more interaction with these guys because she's trying to find her partner. She wants someone to propose, and like she's just making them eat like a lot of fattening food.
Yeah.
I love how she calls Caitlin and Tayshia her friends. Got my friends here.
I love Caitlin and Tayshia on this date, though, to be honest. I feel like they made it entertaining for me by reacting to everything that was happening.
Super
especially
funny.
during the proposals. I was like, this is cute. Like, I kind of like having them there just like being almost like the audience perspective where we're like watching on the side, like with this same feeling and being like, what is happening here?
What do you think about the sweet nothings?
That's how I wrote it. I just called them the sweet nothing segments.
I mean, Andrew, I thought did a good job. He busted out the British accent.
Accents.
It was working. It definitely worked. How do you feel about Greg's 50 states sweet nothing moment?
I really hated that. I'm now, just so everyone knows, the tone of this episode with Greg for me is going to be that I'm like definitely firmly believing in the fact that he's an actor's rumor. And for me, if you do come from a theater background, this should have been so much better. This was terrible. He made a choice, and it wasn't strong and wrong. It was strong and weak, or it was wrong and weak. Sorry, wrong and weak, and it did not land. And I just didn't enjoy it at all.
And then after he's like, "Fuck yeah!" And
Yeah.
like, oh, you can hear us? Like,
It's the lack
obviously
of
they're gonna be able to
awareness.
hear you. I didn't even understand. Was the joke the whole point of it to say everything's bigger in Texas? Was that the punchline?
It was not worth the build to the punchline at all.
Is he from Texas?
I don't know. I think he strangely also went for the accent work, but as the accent is not an established part of his brand, as it is with Andrews, we know is all about the accent work. This was just a flop. And Katie actually said she wished she hadn't heard that. So that's not good. But the facade of Greg is crumbling slowly. I feel like this is the first
the crack
view. And the reason is he couldn't plan for this date. He's really good in the interactions with her where he knows what's coming, if it's the one-on-ones at the cocktail party or whatever. But he couldn't plan for what he had to do here. And I feel like that's why he faltered a bit.
That was so easy though, to whisper sweet nothings in a giant ear. I wouldn't have to it's a minute. It's super easy, super I don't know. I didn't think it would be that hard, but I do come from an acting background, but I don't know. He didn't win there at all. That was embarrassing, Greggy.
It was embarrassing.
Yes, Stacia did have a similar date, and so I'm just kind of like, when people are just like, "Oh my god, it has to be more serious," and I'm like, "No, this show isn't serious, guys. It's not serious." And they do the same thing with or without Chris Harrison, so just relax on the hate for Tayshia and Kaitlyn. Okay, so would you, on a date, allow somebody to wax your butt?
I mean, there would be nothing for them to wax, but
fair.
I wouldn't want to. I feel like part of waxing, for those who haven't been waxed, is like the people know what they're doing, so you don't find yourself in a situation where someone's waxed you and then there's still wax on your skin, which happened here. Or like, these guys have never waxed. I don't know, maybe some of them have, but these guys were shocked by waxing. I don't want that person waxing me. If you have a person that does that, then sure, I'll do it. I will take one for the team, but I don't want any amateurs waxing me.
No. I mean, what an awkward position for Christian to be waxing poor Trey's butt. It just, you do what you want for Katie. That's great. Whatever, you're willing to bear all. Ha ha ha. But I don't think I would be doing that for the date. It seems, I don't know. It just didn't seem right. He's going to have ingrown hairs. Ooh.
Oh.
Bueno. A couple other things at the carb station was a chocolate cake, and then you said the gigantic pile of mashed potatoes. Super gross. So the last thing, they wanted to up the ante and give them 2 habanero peppers and then propose their love for Katie. So even the pepper idea, that was in Tayshia's as well, wasn't it?
Was it?
There was something about a proposal. And then we've seen them eat hot peppers on Bachelor in Paradise when Evan and Carly had to make out. But I've seen it before.
I would prefer it as used in the challenge, where it's you eat a really hot pepper and then do a super physical elimination round.
Yes.
That's way more that ended up being way more interesting than this. This just, I get it because it made it seem like they were crying while they were doing this fake proposal, which was what they were going for with this. But after 1 or 2 guys, it really loses the entertaining factor for me.
Yes. Okay, so Greg is from Jersey, so it's a segment from Texas. Womp womp. Tamika, I'm not a fan of Greg at all. I don't see the polar chemistry between him and Katie. I see that she likes him because she even says that when he does his proposal thing after the peppers, and he's like, "I love you so much," and she's like, "I'm gonna take that as a win. He said I loved you. I'm gonna take that as real." And so, I know it was also a soundbite for the show, but I think she wants it to be real with Greg.
Yeah.
What, they showed the
Yeah.
waxing? Yeah, they kind of showed it. Nah, there was like a.
I mean, you
There's a
couldn't
black
see his
box, I
butt,
think.
yeah. But they showed the waxing and also the armpit waxing for Andrew. There's also a moment where Andrew waxed and then like looked shockingly at the waxed hair on the strip. Which
Well,
was
they had to
actually
bring
pretty
back
funny.
the hair, so that was like, I guess,
Oh yeah, they had to
the
prove it.
qualifier.
Oh.
They don't have cameras everywhere. And the only one that I wrote about is I thought was funny was like Caitlin says, "Don't touch your eyeball, don't touch the pepper, then touch your eyeballs." But like Andrew S said, he's like, "I feel like you should have said that first." And I thought that was kind of funny. And Trey didn't seem to flinch after these when he was making his little proposal, so he can handle the heat for sure. So, thoughts on Katie's sparkly houndstooth dress jacket for the night portion of the date?
I don't love it. I don't love it.
It's
I don't
distracting.
know. I just, yeah, not my favorite outfit, honestly. I wouldn't choose to wear it personally. Yeah, it's a random. It was a random piece.
I was like, it's so glittery, and I'm like, in houndstooth? I'm like, okay, it's a look. I'm like, is it a jacket? No, oh, it's a dress. I'm like, I was very confused by it.
Apparently, she can only wear oversized blazers or offshoots of oversized blazers, and then also glitter. Like, these are the only two elements of her clothing.
Maybe that's what she said that she likes. She's like, I like glitter
and blazers.
Blazers, yeah. Maybe that's all that's on her like mood board, her outfit board. So at the night portion, she tells the guys she wants to know your truths and she wants you guys to open up. And so Andrew steals her away first. And I thought this was actually kind of cute. He has like, because there was these serving trays with the covers on it, the silver covers, for them to have the carb portion of the date. There's a silver tray for her and him to enjoy. And so he's like, payback time. And she's like, yes, payback time. So I thought that was kind of cute. Underneath, it seems to have all of her favorite snacks, including T-Bell. Do you call it T-Bell?
No, but I have a surprise for you this week, which is that I took a screenshot of what was on that platter. And
yes.
I don't know if everyone can see what's going on here, but it appears that there's some gummy snack. First of all, there looks like Lunchables, like cheese and meat, the tacos, some crackers, and then on the right here are like those sour Twizzlers, and you can't really see it well, but those are Sour Patch Kids.
So random.
And I just thought, what is happening here? In the history of like Tasha's giant ice cream that was melting or whatever nonsense things they want to put together, this really it's so silly. The Sour Patch Kids took me out. I can't.
Well, I noticed it, but then I was just like, I just kind of let it like go. Because he really only paid attention to like the Taco Bell stuff, so I was like, I did notice it. Thank you for
is
that.
This about tacos or about what is happening on this platter? Are her favorite snacks Lunchables? Sour Patch Kids tacos? Like, what's going on? I didn't even see the other side of the plate. Who knew? Maybe.
I want to know more, like, if we could ever get Andrew to tell us his thought process about that, I would be into it. Actually, maybe I'll message him and be like, tell me what else was on that platter, that charcuterie board.
I need to know. I need to know.
Living. That's hilarious. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
They kiss. Their kiss seemed pretty good. That's all I really wrote about their date. Andrew M., I just wrote down, what did he say?
I don't know what he said, and the only other time we saw him was feeding Greg fettuccine in the corner of the screen. So I'm not feeling great about Andrew M's chances right now.
I know. I mean, my team is starting to dwindle here. I'm getting kind of nervous, but we'll get to that. I wrote down that she likes Greg. She feels like he says he feels like he's in high school with the way that he feels. And she, what did I write here? I don't know. She really seems to like him a lot. And I think that he's, no matter what, there is she wants to keep him here to the end. I think
Mhm.
there's no doubt that he's a front runner in her eyes. I don't fully know how he feels. It just seems like he's mirroring everything that she says.
Yep.
And I don't know its authenticity. But we'll see how it goes, because she's the truth serum person. She gets the bottom of these things. So let's get to the bottom of Greg, because he, to me, doesn't seem like he's that genuine, but what do I know?
Strong gameplay move. He dropped the starting to fall in love with her line. I think he knew that his performance in the group portion was not strong, and knew he had to have a really good conversation with her here. And this is where he thrives. So
he thrives in
he had to do
making
it,
her
and he
know
did.
that he loves her. He's falling for her. Bean says, this reminded me of the Street of Keys chicken and Canada date with Matt. Yes, like with food looking just not tasty. Absolutely. Except like, oh man, the poutine is actually really good. Like if they had a good poutine.
I know, they did it. That was actually blasphemy. It's always so annoying that poutine gets misrepresented in the media, because it's actually so delicious. Like, if you haven't had it, it's so good. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, you just have to acknowledge that it doesn't look nice, and that's just part of the experience. But they keep trying to put it on TV, and that's not the way you sell poutine. You just like take a friend to a poutine place. Don't worry about the appearance. Just have the fries, the gravy, and the cheese, and live your truth. Like, there's no way that could be bad. It's delicious.
It's delicious. I mean, I love poutine. I think I mentioned when we were talking about that that episode that I used to live by a poutinerie, and like, have you been to Montreal?
Yes.
So have you been to Banquise?
No.
So Banquise, it's like Rachel East. A little bit. It's 24-hour poutine place, and it has like every single type of poutine with like different toppings. Like you have like smoked meat poutine and blah 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 poutine. It's just like 100 different types of poutines, and then also obviously you can get like traditional. It's just so good, but it's like 24 hours, and so it's like a late night after the bar kind of place, you know. Delish. So if you ever go to Montreal, check it out, because I think I'll be there forever, because it's a Montreal staple.
Wow.
Gotta go there. So this is the beginning. I'm giving us both points here for the Andrew and Trey fight, because they actually kind of get into it. And Andrew's point, I'm really agreeing with, being like, we don't need to say anything, because it takes away from time from Katie. It takes away time from all of us. Like, let's just let it be. We know what he's all about. His colors will be shown. Like, let's just enjoy getting to know Katie, instead of like making this the cause of the date. But Trey thinks that he's being some honorable man by protecting his lady here, and feeling the need to tell her the truth. So you said you had some thoughts about this confrontation, we'll say. What are you thinking?
So I watched the episode twice. Partly because it didn't hold my attention that well the first time. So I had to actually go back and watch it and try and understand what was happening. But also, the first watch, I felt like 100% on Andrew's side. And I still am, in terms of where they stand in this argument. I think, like I said before, it's never a good look to be the person that tells, even if it works to your advantage in this moment. I just think long-term, it's not a good play for this show. And also, like, there's so many factors, which we already discussed, that are kind of like egging people on to be that person, that person feels like they're being so valiant, but really, like, it's to everyone else's advantage what they're doing. However, the second watch, it did become more clear to me that maybe Trey was more on the money with what Katie would want. And I think that's kind of where I stand with it now. It's like, I don't agree with it personally. I think, yes, trust her to figure it out. Like, there's a lot of things that play in the show. Like, if you're confident in yourself and actually confident in your interactions with her, then you probably wouldn't need to bring that up. You'll also notice that Michael, in his interactions with Katie this episode, didn't bring up the drama. Then that's coming from a place of confidence. I don't know if Greg did, but I didn't see that. So I just think it's not the right thing to do from a strategic standpoint.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. You are correct that Katie, it is something that Katie does want and has been saying that she does want. And it's, to me, completely opposite of what I would want. Like, I wouldn't want to be spending my time talking about a guy that you don't like. I guess,
Yeah.
like, it's just not.
And he's
really,
not even on the date. Like, he's not even on this date, too.
He
Like,
didn't
to
do
Andrew's
anything
point,
in the
like,
date.
he's not here.
Exactly. So I totally agree with you, though. And Trey is correct with Katie wanting this information. So,
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
okay.
clearly.
It's
It worked out for
shocking,
him.
actually. It's
I
shocking.
know.
Shocking.
I was actually shocked.
So after that, Josh does finally get a little bit of one-on-one time. She looks at him, in my opinion, like she's like, man, I'm gonna have to dump you soon, but I'm gonna have to keep you here a little bit longer. But so I'm gonna pretend that like I'm really enjoying getting to know you, but I don't really know anything about you, and I'm not really that interested. Like it just seemed like she's just trying to look kind and endearing, but like I don't think she's into him at all.
No, I don't think so either. Or for a lot of people, like the other Connor, I'm like, oh, okay, dude, like, bye. Like, there's nothing going on with so many people that are there. So I think it's interesting that it's all about, like, oh, I want to get to know you guys. But then, like, there doesn't really seem to be any getting to know happening with any of these guys.
There's no getting to know happening. And okay, this is a little bit of a hot take here, but I'm just going to throw it out there. So she's so like wants to suss out who's here for the right reasons, this and that, and she's here for love and don't waste your time. But isn't she wasting a lot of people's time? She knows she's not into Josh. She knows she's not into Connor. She knows she's not into Trey. And she's still bringing them around to the next round. I know it's the format of the show. I get it. But if we're holding people to the standard of not wasting her time or wasting their time and we're here for love, like she kind of should have been like, she should have maybe started with 100 people and then just be cutting, major cutting. And then like, oh, no, cut 25 of you. You're out of here. You know what I mean? So I'm just throwing it out there that like Thomas is kind of getting such a bad rap for kind of being in the tradition of the show of being someone that's on there that it's eventually going to be cut. Anyways, I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. I mean, yes, it's part of it. You obviously have to keep people around that you don't want to date. And I'm sure they're kind of like pressured to do so, or at least like not really given the option. So I do get that, which you acknowledge. I think maybe it's more that it's coming out of like the Claire and Tayshia season that they really can't afford to have, like if it does wrap early, that means that she clearly does have more of a idea of where she wants to go, and they just like cannot allow for it to be another Dale and Claire situation.
Okay.
Like they need the season to be a season. And I feel like she's trying to be authentic in letting people go where she's hearing rumors about like them not being there for the right reasons, which we've heard more than ever this season. But I don't know.
So then Trey comes to be the hero to talk to Katie. They were talking about how it was just a really fun time. They had a really fun time on the date. He's enjoying getting to know her. And then talking about truth and vulnerability. And then he says that someone's not here for you and he's manipulative and good with his words. I'm like, he's not good with his words. So what are you talking about? And I just think that it's very unfair for people to be name calling him. You know, like they can say his actions seem to be manipulative, but like all these people are making these gross claims about his character that they don't have any like empirical evidence that is stating that he is doing this 100%. And so I feel like they are actually mischaracterizing Thomas. They may have had evidence that may be believable that he could be this way, but for them to say that he's 100% manipulative, that he's 100% using his words, that he's 100% not here for Katie, that he's 100%, wants to be the bachelorette, that he's 100% that there's no way that he's in love. Like, it's just these 100% that they're kind of giving her, that is like facts, I think is really unfair on a whole with like mischaracterizing him.
I mean, I couldn't really give much care to what Thomas is doing, but if I were to transcribe what Trey said here, he actually just said manipulative or manipulates. Like, I don't know if there was more to this conversation than what we saw, but he was like, he's just manipulative and like
And
we just
good
see
with
him
his words.
manipulate and he's good with his words and it's manipulative and that's what it is. And I'm like, okay, where are the examples? Like he said he wants to be there to just be the bachelor. That's one example. They could have referenced more specific things. They could have been like, he said he doesn't care about any of the other people's feelings or time here. He, you know, like there's other stuff they could have said if they wanted to bring receipts, but he didn't really tell her much. The
you
real
just
revelation
used the
was
word.
the bachelor, like he wants to be the bachelor thing. And that was what really set her off. Not that he was manipulating. Like
who would I pick here?
Great question.
I think I'd pick. Well, if I'm looking at people's astrologically, I'd probably get along better with Thomas because we're both air signs. But my Mercury and my moon is Capricorn. So I probably would vibe a little bit with Josh Murray. So I think I like Josh Murray has a more grounded manliness to him, probably from his Capricorn characteristics that I think I'm more drawn to than Thomas. And he's also older. Thomas is just a bit too young. So I just think that he's such a baby that like, why are you getting duped by this like 28-year-old? Like, come on. Like it's pretty obvious. So that too is kind of playing into my thoughts here. So I think I would choose Josh. Do you have thoughts? Who would you choose?
Neither. These are not my types at all.
Fair. That's very fair. Actually, out of everybody in the cast that's left, who would be your most like your type?
That's a good question.
Okay, you think on that one. I'm gonna ask you again at the end.
I'll think about it.
So Katie says that she needs to know these things, and when that's what's really frustrating.
She said 100%. That's what you just shared is something I 100% want to know.
And I was just like, I got annoyed.
Oh, okay.
She's devastated. 100% something she wants to know.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote eye roll. And then you see, I love this. There was a little bit of a producer breaking the fourth wall here with the producer conversation and the hug with Katie being devastated that she saw Thomas being in the top 4 like hometowns. Well, which I think is also interesting because she didn't seem to be buying Thomas when he was like, "Oh, pick a house anywhere," and like she's like, "To be determined." So it felt to me that she was already having some skepticism on her connection with him. So for her to still think that he was going to the top 4, which I thought that was strange.
Also, like, did you really? Oh, okay, things are worse than I thought, Katie.
So maybe you didn't need to be told. You didn't need to be told that he's might not be the perfect match for you.
Maybe you did need to know. I mean, I do think she needs to know that he said that. I wouldn't be the person to tell her.
I wouldn't be the person to tell her. I wouldn't be. Well, yeah, I don't know. I'd just be annoyed by anybody that decided to use the time to go tell her any of these things. Tamika's so mad. Exactly. She over-dramatized the entire thing, shaking my head.
I love that this filler episode got people so heated. It's really funny. Maybe it did its job.
That's exactly what they want us to do, is just to like be angry about everybody. Okay, so somebody said this, and I totally agree. It must have been Andrew. It says, "You guys don't want drama, but you spark it." And that is true. And that's what I don't like about the fact that they tell Katie then is upset, cancels the rose ceremony. Then you complain about not getting time with Katie. And then that person like gets more time with Katie because they have to go and like tell her, like defend themselves. And it's like, if you just leave it, maybe one of you won't get a rose, but you weren't going to be getting a rose. You weren't going to win her heart in the end. If you don't get a rose today or next week, like you weren't going to be there in the final 4. It's just not the determining factor in my opinion. So
And last rose ceremony, Carl screwed everything up by bringing up his rumor. Last rose ceremony, which was like 10 years ago at this point, but last rose ceremony, being like, oh yeah, like ruining the vibe entirely when she was having a really nice time. I think that's where Andrew was coming from to say, okay, how about we don't do this tonight? Like, this doesn't seem like the right place, right time. Let's let her do her thing. Let's let her figure it out. Like, we're having a good date. Like, everyone on that date was having a fun time, apparently bonding and enjoying themselves. So like, let it be that. Let's not make it a Thomas thing, because ultimately that's going to affect all of us, which she was right about, right?
100%. Tamika enjoyed the episode, thought it was funny, only really watching for the men. Yeah. I mean, I we'll get to why I'm excited about next week. Yeah. I mean, I'm not interested in Katie's journey anymore, which is interesting, because I do actually like seeing people fall in love. Like, that is what has got me into The Bachelor and Bachelorette in the beginning, is like, I like seeing these little weird love stories, but I don't know. It's just something about how they're going about it this season is like, it's not working for me. So I'm just looking, I actually am just here for the drama of it all. So strange. So, okay. Wow. Completely honest and genuine with me. Who was that?
Katie?
Rose? I guess Trey got that rose, right?
I was surprised. Were you surprised?
I really was like,
Andrew killed it on this date. He killed it with the tacos and the crazy platter. He killed it, and he was laid back. They got me with the editing. I really didn't think this was going to happen.
Did Trey and him kiss?
I don't know. I don't think that was shown.
Okay, I didn't see a kiss, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know.
I don't think that they did, or if they did, I don't remember seeing it.
Well, I wanted Andrew to get that rose for sure, because that took a lot of effort, and I like his approach that he just wants to get to know Katie. He's there to pursue her, not allowing himself to get involved in this drama. Well, defending himself a little bit, being like, "Hey guys, let's just cut this out." I just like his interaction with her, and I felt that it should have been appreciated, as opposed to someone being rewarded by tattling on like the house victim. You know?
Yes.
No kiss. All right, Tamika. So all the guys talking about Thomas, I wrote down another eye roll. Katie says that she feels like a fool. And then the last person that she expected to see show up in her room is Tayshia. How is she the last person she expected to see? I think the last person she should have expected to see would be like Chris Harrison. That'd be the last person she'd expect to see. Who do you think the last person she should expect to see?
Like Jesus Christ. Like, right? I don't know. Like, who is the least likely person to
like Tayshia, he's rooming next door and is the host with Caitlyn. Like, it's probably not the last, probably like the
I was
first
like, she's
person.
One of like 5 people you see. So I think
you'd expect to see.
But sure.
It was very funny that she's like the last person. So then Tayshia is telling her about like, oh, like somebody from my past really wants to meet you. And like Katie's kind of taken it back a little bit, but because she thought that maybe Tayshia was coming with some bad news, but instead it was with the fact that someone from her past is coming into the picture. But she won't tell her his name because she wants to meet him in the moment and like, I don't know, be surprised and like not have any judgments about it. I didn't understand this tactic.
This whole segment to me is officially where I mean, for me personally, I'm really glad Blake is on my team. This is the hardest sales pitch I've ever heard for someone returning to the show. No one has ever come in with this much praise. Like, I didn't transcribe it, but I
transcribed something
lot
for you
of
today,
what Tayshia said, which was like, came here to tell you something which I think I owe you. I had someone from my past reach out to me. He really felt passionately you guys would be an amazing match. I think he's an amazing guy, and I feel he's someone who has good intentions. I really feel like he can be that person for you, aka someone who would get down on one knee. He didn't come because he didn't know if he wanted to throw himself back into this. He can't stop thinking about you, and he's here, and he wants to talk to you and see if you're willing to give him a chance. He is genuine. He'll really challenge you and bring out the best in you and accepts you for you. So does Blake win? Like, I'm confused. Like, at this point, I'm literally just like, Katie, it was so clear that she knew that it was Blake and was like bashfully hiding her face and like trying to pretend like this wasn't new information. Tayshia, God love her. Like, I'm a Tayshia fan. The script was not delivered well for me in this segment either from Tayshia. Like, come on. This was so dialed in. And so I was disappointed. I was disappointed. Like, I knew it was going to be an advantage for him to come in, but this is ridiculous. This is out of control.
Okay, well, what about in levels of ridiculousness? The shots of Blake getting ready, but not showing his head. And I'm just like, well, you've already showed that Blake's coming here. Like, we know it's Blake, so why are you pretending like it's not Blake? So he's getting ready, and then even like in the moment where he's staring out the window in silhouette, like, you know that it's Blake. What are you trying to do here, producers? Like, you're not fooling us.
And you didn't, like, I get that they had Tayshia there, so, like, might as well leverage the fact that he was on her season. But I don't think Tayshia really talked to Blake about why he was there. Like, and also when Blake was on Tayshia's season, did she get to know all these things about him? No. Like, it was just all, like, really just obviously staged. And I know this show is staged. We comment on it all the time, but I don't like for it to be dangled in my face like that. Like, I already feel dumb for watching this. Don't make me feel more dumb, you know? Like, don't make me feel worse about myself and try and act like I can't tell that Blake is there when you've shown his face in several previews. Like, right? No, absolutely like, not.
Falling into the hay, like making out. It's like, we know Blake's coming.
Like, we know he's there.
And so you're gonna get 5 points for Blake showing up unannounced. So
finally.
Yes, you got some points here. So, oh my gosh, Blake, a little surprise here, taken aback. I was like, what? You're not surprised. Like, you know, like, no. He slid into your DMs. Like, this is his move. His move is to slide into the Bachelorette's DMs if he knows that she's going to be on the show and, like, says something positive about them and hopes to get on the season. Like, he did that to Claire. Like, he lucked out that Tayshia was up next. And just like he got to meet her and stay for a very long time. And then he got to slide into Katie's DMs. And then like, oh, wait, maybe I can get on this show too. Because like, hey, my ex is on there. And like, I've already slid into Katie's DMs. So it looks like I'm here for the right reasons. And I've always liked her. But like, I think it's calculated. I don't think he's that into her.
No, I actually disagree. I think that they're actually a good match. But my issue is that like, this to me, like, now eclipses, like, the way she was so smitten with him in that interaction, to be like, Greg who? Like, I'm actually like, I don't understand. It's like a Nick Viall situation where I think he's gonna come in and he's gonna make it far. It's very obvious that she really has an interest in him. And he's saying that he's interested in her. I don't really know. You know, I don't like Blake, so I have a difficult time with him, but yeah. She's very smitten with him. For sure.
Yes, I think that they have like a connection. Louis was even saying earlier, hi Louis, you can't deny the chemistry between Katie and Blake. I call them the couple to be. So I do see that they have good interaction. Their banter is pretty good. I even wrote down that he speaks so much better than all the other men. Like, it just like their interaction just seems a little bit more loose, a little bit more natural, a little bit more like they're in a relationship, less of a job interview. 100%. But I think that he's actually just good at dating people on the show. Like, he's had a lot of practice. And so I think that he's able to allow himself to appear like this knight in shining armor because he's had 6 months practice of doing this. You know what I mean? So I don't deny that they have some sort of chemistry. I don't deny that I think that he's going to go quite far. I just don't know if his original intention for her coming on the show was, oh my God, like, you are the one for me. I think that he knew that he could say the right things to get into a relationship with her and potentially get to the end. I do think he's a bit of a clout chaser, and it just so happens that they vibe.
We also
That's
don't know
something.
like the extent of what their interactions were prior to. Like obviously they're gonna try and downplay it and be like he slid into my DMs and he said that he liked my bold personality, which I'm like, oh my god,
If someone
Katie,
said to me, I'd
girl,
be like,
like,
"Oh, you're not interested in me at all,"
oh, like
because
my eyes rolled back in my skull, and I was just like, can we seriously get past this idea? But anyways, sure, he loves your bold personality, but I feel like they did more than just like have passing conversation in DM. I think there's probably like maybe more at play there. Again, kind of like a Nick and Caitlyn thing where it's like there wasn't like conversation that they were dating, but it was certainly working its way towards there potentially being something. The timing just worked out that she was a bachelorette. I do believe 100% that he knew this was his best way to leverage that. And if they did have that connection, then he had to come on the show. It's not like Heather showing up on Matt's season where we were all just like, who? Like, what's going on? This man? Like, no. Like, he does definitely have a good chance coming in. But I'm starting to feel like all of the goodwill I built up towards Katie as a bachelorette is like slowly fading away with this episode. I'm so disappointed.
Mhm.
Are you disappointed too? Like I want to be there for her, but I just feel like now it seems so obvious. I don't know. Does everyone else think it's this obvious?
That's exactly what I said at the beginning, that I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not here for Katie anymore. Like, of course I want her to find love, blah, blah, blah. But like, I don't, her reads aren't good to me anymore. Like, we'll get to that rose ceremony. That wasn't it. Like, I wasn't down with how that went down at all. Ooh, this is an interesting point. Tamika says Katie said on Twitter that she thought it was either Blake or Dr. Joe. Oh, so she didn't know 100% it was Blake. Okay.
Well, I wish it was Dr. Joe.
I wish it was Dr. Joe too, actually. Okay, hi Dolores. Dolores says, so what are the odds that Katie already knew Blake and that's why he is on? Yeah, no, I think
100%.
I think that they knew of each other for sure. I think Blake is calculated enough to want to be involved, knowing that Katie was getting so much buzz from that season. Like, there was probably still a slight buzz about her potentially being the Bachelorette. I think he wanted to slide in there so it looked like he was being authentic before. So if she did become the Bachelorette, he already had, I already was trying to talk to her. Like, I was already interested in her. Like, I think it was a little bit calculated and they just happened to get along. Bachelor Nation shipped Katie and Blake a long time ago. So that's another thing too. Oh God, right. And the date that Katie said, oh God, that's so whack.
But it just goes to show that like the game begins before the game begins. I'm just like, I feel like this season will show us like maybe what this new era of Bachelor play looks like, which is like the parasocial game exists already. Like if you liked someone on their season and you've actively been talking about them on social media, you already have an advantage if you come into this season because you're already engaging with them and what you like about them or whatever, which I don't love personally because it just feels like people are going to be calculated about that. And I'm not sure. It's all of it's a big TBD for me.
Yeah, TBD. Hi, Noemi, or Naomi. I'm not enjoying the season. Katie's not that interesting. Well, I think that this is why there's all this drama happening, is that maybe she really isn't that interesting. I'm sorry, Katie. All that she really had was her bold personality, like that, and standing up for these women. And so we're just getting with that. And we didn't get to know her well enough to be interested in like, oh, we know that she likes this and we know that she likes that and we know a little bit more about her. So I think the fact that we don't know that much about her, what we're learning in this season isn't that interesting. You know what I mean? Like, okay, like give me more. I don't know. I don't know more about Katie than I did before the season started.
She likes fishing.
She likes fishing. I didn't know that her dad had passed away, I don't think. I didn't know that she grew up lower income. I didn't know that she likes plaid and houndstooth.
I don't feel like I dislike what we've gotten to know about Katie. I just think, this is a turning point. This is a turning point in where we were last week. I was feeling really high on Katie's journey. This week, not so much. Not so much.
Okay, BB asks, do Blake and Dean have similarities? Wilderness wandering guys, loves women fast, has game on the show, etc. I think that Dean is better than Blake is at this game.
I think Dean has a very interesting arc, actually. Like, on Rachel's season, I will never forget that hometown of Dean's. That was like one of the most interesting and uncomfortable things I've ever seen. And then from there, he managed to go on a bunch of other shows and kind of come through with some drama on his first Paradise appearance. And then on his second one, things working out for him. But I think Dean possesses more self-awareness than Blake does.
Yeah.
Dean's like been pretty transparent about the fact that he's doing this for like continuing his 15 minutes and to be able to like kind of live this cool lifestyle that not a lot of people are afforded. So for that reason, I kind of respect Dean a bit more, you know?
Yeah. Exactly. Going on, what's his name's podcast, just talking about like letting us know the money that they're getting, that he's like, yep, I want this a new bed, so I'll promote it. Like, you know, and like I like the transparency. So yeah, I agree.
He's like, I like to travel, I like to see things, I want to do whatever I want to do with my life. I know it's not going to last forever, so I'm just going to do it. And I'm like, you know what? Good for you. At least you're aware that that's what's happening. And it just so happened to work out for him with Kaylin, which is nice. Yeah. But I don't know. I've always had a soft spot for Dean for some reason. Yeah, I feel for him.
Me too. I'm into him more than I'm into Blake. Blake is just he's just fake. Like, I'm the greatest guy ever. I'm such a catch. It's just I don't feel like he's a catch. It's fake. But I do want to see whether or not he talks to Brendan, like, you know, if like their friendship or knowing each other is going to come into play. I'm interested in that at least a little bit.
I think that's why Brendan stayed. That's the only reason why Brendan stayed, because the conversation he had with Katie was so trashed on that group date that I feel like they're keeping him around so that he could be the person to be like, I know Blake. Right? I'm familiar with Blake. We have to have that. We have to have that happen.
And then, like, definitely Blake needs to have somebody supporting him on his side, like a friend. He needs a friend in the house. I definitely felt, though, that Blake has more personalities than the other guys that are in the house still. So I can understand why they brought him along, because like he is going to create a lot of drama, and he speaks better, and like he's able to get like thoughts across in a more succinct fashion than most of these four other guys. So I'm interested in seeing what Blake does, even though I'm not a big fan. I do get 5 points for Thomas shirtless alone in a hot tub. Katie obviously talks to Tayshia and Kaitlyn, tells them about what Trey said. And then I also really didn't vibe with how they were like, it's so much broken telephone where they're like, I felt that they're starting to make even more assumptions about Thomas that wasn't even true. Like, oh yeah, he's a sweet talker. It's like, well, he's actually not a very good sweet talker. Like, I think that he's actually bad at that. I do not think that's what he is. And I felt that they kept on labeling him, and without having heard the information directly from Trey. So it's like from Thomas to Trey to Katie to Tayshia and Kaitlyn, and it's like completely broken telephone then to what has actually was said. So this has been bothering me a little bit. Joseph's here. Hi, Joseph. So US Weekly reported that Katie and Blake had been DMing each other. Exactly.
For sure.
They were. If she wasn't the Bachelorette, they probably would have been like a couple that came out in the Bachelor world. Katie shocked me, and she said Thomas home yet has no problem with Blake getting a third crack at love. Yeah, she does mention that concerns her, and I thought that should be a huge red flag. Like, you dated the last 3 Bachelorettes?
Third is not his fault in the sense that it did change hands in the course of his season.
But like getting to the end, like being a front runner in all of them?
I'm suspicious of anyone who chooses to come back to this. Like, if you've been on it before and you choose to come back again, that's a choice to me. You know, like I don't think people that are like fully thriving are making the choice to come back to manipulative TV show, especially when you know the like when you know how the sausage is made, and then you're choosing to come back. Then there's really something else going on for me.
Absolutely. Just
why? Why would you?
Wait till Bachelor in Paradise. There's so many people in Bachelor Nation that you can date, Blake. So many people. So
but
why do you?
If Katie wasn't the Bachelorette, and that wasn't what was happening, maybe Paradise would have been a thing for them. I think like it, because he would have still had the advantage if he went to Paradise with Katie, if that was what ended up playing out, and they already had that connection. But because she was the Bachelorette, I feel like that's like an opportunity. Yeah.
So maybe he'd already planned out, or even they had already planned out that they were going to start dating on the next series or the next show, and maybe it was all planned between the two of them.
I think we're definitely like in a state of this show where we have to assume that things are being planned. Like, for example, just as a rumor of something that's coming up for Bachelor in Paradise is that, you know, there was that article that was dropped about how Piper and Brendan were dating, which came out shortly before Paradise started filming officially, or at least maybe they were quarantining or whatever. And if you don't think for a second that that's not going to factor into whatever we end up seeing on Paradise this year, then you're not really understanding the show that we're watching. Like, I think people are very, very calculated about what that's going to be, especially going into something like Paradise. And they're going to act like that's not a thing. And that's,
or like, oh my God, I hope so much that Piper's here, or I hope so much that Brendan's here. And it's like, you guys are already dating.
He'll be there, or she'll be there, and they won't be there together until a certain point. Like, it's all for the sake of our entertainment. So I think the same logic applies here in terms of Blake returning as well.
I agree.
All calculated.
Hi, Naomi says, I didn't know anything about Rachel Lindsay before watching her season, but I enjoyed her a lot. We do too. Great. You have to read the most recent article that she wrote with New York Magazine, I believe it was. I thought it was a really good look at her season and how she was feeling, and kind of seeing behind the scenes as to what was really going on with like her journey with Bachelor Nation. So if you enjoyed Rachel Lindsay, it's a good read. Definitely recommend it.
She's a great Bachelorette. Great Bachelorette.
And she's great after too. And like, she gets so much hate and it's so annoying. Okay. So Thomas, so the rose ceremony, the pre-rose ceremony is starting now. Everybody's like, well, where's Thomas? Where's Thomas? Well, what's Thomas doing? And there's, Thomas. Thomas goes, this is bold. I think I'm going to take 5 points for this, to go and see Katie. Because he's hearing all these rumors and what people are saying about him, and he wants to go. And if he doesn't say anything that, I don't know what this rationale is, that it means that he believes that it's true. So he needs to go and tell Katie like his side of the story and his truth. So what did you think about this interaction? She didn't want to hold his hands. Like, it was, to me, quite awkward. Give me your thoughts here.
I want to give a shout out to whichever producer encouraged him to wear the red blazer. I think symbolically, that costuming choice was very humorous for us, especially as he is kind of this ostracized person and bad guy in this situation. So shout out to the intern that made that happen. He's so much bigger than her also. Sorry, so random, but he's so much taller than her. Did you notice? Like, she's like
probably like 6'4", and she's like 5'2", it seems. Maybe 5'3".
This is where he got me thinking. All of this time they had been talking about how Thomas is a good talker. Everything that we've seen up until this point, I did not agree with that. I don't feel like he said anything. If you want to go back to last week's episode and see me reading the transcription of what he says to Katie, then it's a whole lot of nothing. But in this interaction, I really saw him flex that skill. He was trying every angle that he could to get her back. And it was not 100% convincing, but he really tried it. Tried it.
But if he didn't try, though, he would He'd also been, you know, what's the word that he used? Demonsterized. It's like not a word.
His grasp of the English language is fascinating as well.
Okay, but like he would definitely be painted in a terrible light if he were not to go and say anything to her, or if he, you know, if he didn't try to fight for their relationship. So damned if you do, you damned if you don't, Thomas. You already have the red letter A on your chest. Like you're done.
Yeah.
You can't do anything right here. I didn't think he was that convincing, but I thought that what he said,
I don't know, he's like, I'll sign a piece of paper right now to say that I don't want to be the Bachelor or whatever. Like he was trying every possible, like, believe me tactic, which a lot of people fall for.
Well,
I've certainly fallen for that before.
I mean, I if I were Katie, I would have given him another chance. Like 100%, I would have, just because I would not want to be doing what the group's telling me to do. So like, even if it's just to be like defiant in that way, like I would choose him because like I'm gonna make my own decision. You guys are not gonna bully me into saying that this guy's a bad guy. Let me figure it out on my own. Like this is my journey. But anyways, that's not her vibe. That's my vibe. So I probably would have bought everything that he said. But then she was like, I don't, like, he said something like, there are there's other people in this house that's here for the wrong reason. And she's like, I can confidently say that there are guys that it didn't even cross their mind. And I'm like, it's crossed every single one of their minds because they have to sign a contract. Like, I'm sure the contract says, like, if you are asked to do that, like, you know what I mean? Like, they have to sign all their life away. Has to be a question about that in the 100 pages, the stack of pages that they have to fill out when they are applying for the show. So the fact that she was just so self-righteous about that, people are not there for the wrong reasons. Like, how dare you even accuse anybody of potentially having that thought? I was like, that's ridiculous.
Well, for sure. Like, I agree. I think it would have crossed everyone's mind there just because they're like, oh, well, I'm on the show. And that's like a thing that happens, is that somebody ends up being the lead after. But also I get what he was trying to say. I will give him this. I get what he was trying to say. I don't think it came out well when he said, but I didn't know that it was you. Like, to me, what that comes across as, and I think why she still would have an issue with it, is, well, I didn't know that it was you. So I was here thinking that could be a possibility for me. It's like, what about me is so special that changed your mind? You know, like, I do get that skepticism coming from her, where he was being like, oh, once it was you and I explored our connection, or at least that was the subtext for me watching.
Yeah, I agree.
That's when I decided that I was here for the right reasons, to use their terminology. Whereas, like, the way it came out when he said it was just like, I didn't know that it was you. And to me, that's shitty to hear. Because it's like, oh, so you're just kind of admitting that you were coming here potentially to be the Bachelor, and then I'm the person that, like, stopped the show for you. Sure, I want to believe that we do have this physical connection that's, like, clearly there. There's this chemistry that's there. But, like, I can get why that would be hard to reconcile.
Well, it's kind of like if you're going out to a nightclub for, you know, just a night out with the girls, and you meet some guy, whatever, be like, oh my God, like, I didn't come here thinking I was going to meet you. Like, I came in here for the intentions of, like, just going with the flow and having a good night. So this is, I'm agreeing with you 100% that, like, it didn't come out well, but I totally agree with what he was saying. Being
I get what he meant. Yeah.
Exactly. Anyways, I was just, like, frustrated for him because, like, I thought that I understood what he was saying, and she was seemingly understanding what she was saying. And then we learned later that she didn't. She completely took it a completely different way than I thought that his intentions were. Like, even if he was lying about it, what I thought he said wasn't what she understood of the conversation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyways, she's like, I have no idea. My heart, like, I was willing to do anything to show you that. And I'm like, oh, he's willing to show her anything to show her that. And, like, that's the thing too, is that, like, he wants to show her that he's there for her. And, like, why is she not even wanting to give him the opportunity to show that he's being genuine? You know what I mean?
Or I think also in his eyes, like, even if we're to take away any of the being there for the right reasons, if you just accept at a face value, let's say we're all at a place where we know that everyone is there for potentially like a career boost or some kind of like way of monetizing their social media or whatever, but also like, who knows, maybe love will come for you in this experience. He's just acknowledging that everyone else is also there with the same intention. And I think that's what's the unfair piece about it, is like, it's being pushed onto Thomas because it's the most obvious with him. But like, his point that he didn't make well is that, like, well, all of these guys are here with that same vibe, really, really, at the end of the day. So why am I worse than everybody else? I put my stuff on the table. I've said this and that, even though we still don't know his red flags. But all of that being said, he's like, why me? Everyone's doing this. And I don't think he's wrong about that at all.
Agreed. So BB says, okay, regarding production manipulation, for example, Casey on Reality C podcast says that he made a deal with production to get a tattoo and profess his love to Ali to stay another week to go to Iceland. Exactly. Exactly. Joseph says, I think that Katie was blinded by the manipulation of other players. You can't tell me everybody on night one thinks of being the Bachelor and Bachelorette. Thomas was the only one who said it, because then she was asking him to tell the truth. You know what I mean? So he really got bitten by the fact that he was supposed to be showing like all of his red flags. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think that they entrapped him a little bit there.
That's the problem of the game. You can't show that you're playing the game. You have to always come from the play. You have to be as convincing as possible about being there for no other reason, even though everyone's there for ulterior reasons. Like, it's who's the most convincing.
Right? As like, I'm here for the right reasons. You can't know that I'm here for the wrong reasons, or saying I'm here for the wrong reasons.
Yes, exactly.
This point is correct. I believe, Joseph, we're going to talk about it in like 5 minutes, that Thomas may have been sacrificed so they can bring in Blake for his third crack at love. Yeah, I actually do think this. I think that if Blake wasn't in the picture, I think that Thomas would have survived this rose ceremony. That's my thoughts here. So
I agree with that.
So he does say also that he has been honest with her, and she felt that their connection is intimidating. And I wouldn't be surprised by that as well, because they did have a palpable energy between them. And it could be because he's great, like he's good looking, he's been with a lot of women, maybe, like, you know, he knows how to give off that vibe. That's the connection vibe, maybe. But they could be intimidated by the fact that they do have so much chemistry. And so I don't think that Thomas was wrong there, but he comes back and joins the guys. The guys are so mad. They don't want him there anymore. Like, now he's being blamed for the fact that he's taken up some of the rose ceremony, cocktail party time, going to talk to Katie. I'm just like, Trey, this is your fault. Because if you didn't start that whole bumbling, you guys would have all had more time in the cocktail party. So I said, I hate all these
this
guys
was starting at midnight. Like, did you hear that? Where they were like, it's like midnight. I'm like, good job, guys. Like,
well,
that's
really not their fault, because like, I'm sure the producers tell them what time to do this and what time to do that. Like, remember it happened with Claire as well. They're waiting all day long for Claire to come. And it's like, they plan.
It's not their fault. It's not their fault, but the Thomas thing clearly happened just before the ceremony, so that they could then capture him walking into the ceremony and the guys being like, what's going on?
Hi, Alex. I was talking on Alex's podcast, Couch Potato Queens, yesterday. Well, I was like in their chat room when they were talking about this episode. So Thomas was the only one who was honest about why someone comes on The Bachelor or Bachelorette. Exactly, Alex. Exactly.
It's true.
It's true. It says, you're just not supposed to let anybody know that you know the reason why you're coming on the show. You gotta lie.
Yeah, you have to pretend as much as possible that you are there for the right reasons, even though we all really know why people are there.
Exactly. The producers and Katie try to convince us that Thomas was the villain. LOL. Nope. Nope. Okay, so I said I hate all these guys right now. I was just quite annoyed. I gave 5 points. You get 5 points here. So Andrew and Aaron each, because they kind of got in a little bit of like a spat and they were kind of yelling, you know, a bit. So I thought, I'm like, why is Aaron still here? Like, Aaron is not falling for Katie. Like, they're not. It's not a thing. Like. Anyways, so a little bit of an eye roll.
He's such a bro. He's such a bro.
I'm gonna take 5 points for Brendan. I believe he's the one that passed her the glass of champagne, and then goes and chats with her first. I think I could be wrong. Yes,
he does. He does.
Before that, though, I'm like, the type of guy that she wants is whack. Like, I don't want the type of guy that she wants. Is tattletale weirdo. Like, it's not my vibe.
After that group date performance too, like after the group date performance as a whole, for her to still not give Andrew the group date rose, even though Trey told her that, I'm still like, I mean, I'm not that mad because we know from the previews next week, it seems like they have a one-on-one, but I'm just like, how could you want that instead of this? Like, I don't understand. He was so fun and so joyful and like so entertaining and like here for you. And then this person, you gave them a rose just because they told you what was happening.
Wait, who was here? Who was here for you? Which one?
Andrew.
Oh yeah, well we love Andrew, and so.
No, yeah, I was just like, I'm still like not over the fact that he didn't get the group date rose.
Right,
that
exactly, and he's still worried about his placement in the house because like he's being quite rational. So Brendan talks to her first, and he's like, "Is there anything that you want to know that's going on in the house that, like, you know, nobody's that you want to ask me?" And I was just like, like, and she's like, "No, I just want to be here with you. I want to get to know you more." I'm like, "Thank you, Katie. Like, please stop flaming this like guy gossip bully weird thing that's going on in the house, please." Even Justin, I was like, "Justin, my boy, please stop talking about Thomas." But he does tell her that she would agree with Trey and that's what Trey had said. Obviously, Aaron talks about Thomas. And they're just kind of wondering, like, they can only imagine what Thomas must have said about the rest of them. I'm like, he didn't actually say anything really about you guys. I felt there's just so much hearsay and that Katie just chose to use the word ostracized because she says when she comes in and addresses the group, like, "I'm sorry that you felt ostracized." I'm like, I didn't hear him say the word ostracized. That's leading. That's leading, Katie. That's leading. And that's definitely going to make people pissed off, that word choice. So I was like, I don't know if she was fed that word or what, but she definitely shouldn't have used that word because from what we saw, he never said that he felt ostracized by these men. So that pissed me off too. Katie and Michael had their moment. They didn't talk about Thomas, thank goodness. They smooch, thank you. And then she keeps on apologizing about like, "Oh, I'm sorry for being late. I'm sorry for being late." I'm like, oh, really? You're just flaming this spat with Thomas even more because of the fact that they took time away because Thomas went and talked to you? Like, just cut it out, Katie, please. I don't know. I feel like it's really obvious what she's doing, and I'm kind of over it, to be honest. Mm-hmm. So pretty much lastly, Katie tells Tayshia and Caitlin that, you know, what was going on in the house with Thomas and Thomas coming to talk to her. And Tayshia's just shaking her head. And I'm like, why are you shaking your head so much, like, Tayshia, about this? Like, it's bad. I think it's bad advice that she just, like, just jumping on board with, like, the Thomas hate train. Like, I don't know. I like Thomas the train, not the Thomas hate train. Brutal.
I mean, whatever. Thomas is what he is, but I'm not a fan of the guy and I don't trust his intentions, but he was hung out to dry 100% with how they chose to finish this out. Like, this is not the way to go about it. She could have just told him in the conversation that she had with him that she was going to send him home. And I feel like that would have been the right move. The way that this ended up playing out, as we were about to discuss, I feel was like just purely manipulating the guy into being this person who gets like just destroyed in this situation for the sake of entertainment, right? Like there's nothing more to it than that. She could have had the conversation with him in the one-on-one, especially if her mind was apparently made It's not like
Mhm.
anything changed after that. I guess more
Absolutely.
guys talk to her about him. Whatever. How many more testimonials you need? Like,
Yeah, so Joseph's like, Katie ate, sorry, I'm right, thank you. I was really frustrated to watch this in the moment. Absolutely, I was so frustrated. I felt for Thomas as well. Joseph, I'm with you here. And Alex, you're hilarious. Katie wants the men to tell her the truth until it works in production's favor, then off with their heads. Yes, they are just like putting everybody under the guillotine. Off with their heads is right. Like, I feel bad for Thomas because I don't think that he realized what he was getting himself into by telling his true intentions. I don't think that he's a big fan of the show like some of these other people that have seen every season and knows not to say too much. Like, I don't think he knows the game of The Bachelor. I think that he thought that what he was sharing was perfect for him to share in this group date to show how much he's come around from like thought that like, oh, maybe I'll be the Bachelor to, oh my God, maybe I'm going to find love here. So I feel bad for him. So then I wrote down what Thomas says. So the rose ceremony starts and I gasped. And he says, if I might have missed a couple words here. I want to openly acknowledge and apologize for any thought that I wasn't here for the right reasons. And to the guys, I wanted to openly acknowledge and apologize for any times of disrespect that you didn't deserve. Most importantly, anytime I diminish the value you have as men. What? I don't know what he meant. I didn't get it. Thank you. And steps back in line. I was like, okay, thank you, Thomas. Like, I don't know what that meant. Yeah. What did that mean?
I don't know. Yeah, add that to the list of things. I don't understand what he's actually talking about when he says, like, I don't know. I think it was a good attempt to try something, but the agenda of this rose ceremony was set in stone before it even began.
He was done. So Greg, you hear him say, like, he spews lie after lie. And I'm like, how do they know that he's spewing lie after lie? Like, they're not inside of his head. Anyways, I'm just annoyed. Everybody just pointing their fingers. They're the guilty ones, in my opinion. But people that are chosen are Hunter, Greg, Justin, Brendan, Andrew S., Aaron, Mike P., James, Josh, like he really, Courtney really gets the rose here. Andrew M. gets the rose. And then finally, this is where I messaged you because the final rose comes and she calls Thomas. I screamed.
Yeah,
because I was shocked. Like, I couldn't even believe it, but I was like, okay, well, if he's staying, it's because like they want more drama from him. I was like, okay. And like, so I messaged you like with my actual reaction because I was shocked. And then it was a commercial break. And then when she came back, when it cuts back from commercial break, he walks up to her. Obviously, all the men's faces like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. He gets to her. She steps back very dramatically and says, you told me the things that I wanted to hear. What I learned about you tonight is you are selfish and unkind and a liar. Your Bachelor audition ends tonight. So get out. And I was like, I didn't like that. I didn't think that was an empowering statement. I felt that she was there just to humiliate him completely. I thought that everything that she was claiming to stand for was completely just dismantled for the fact that she wasn't even respecting him as a human being for that he made, like, and gave him no benefit of the doubt here whatsoever. She just wanted to make him look like a fool. And I definitely am not okay with somebody doing that to somebody, regardless of what they're doing. I think that it was really gross.
This was not the feminist power move that they tried to make it seem like, and why time and time again I'm shown that this show is not in the hands of people who give a shit about actually empowering women in any way. Like, this was purely done for them to say, ooh, Katie's such a boss. Look at how she told him off, when that was just like not even warranted. Like, at the end of the day, you had that time with him that was set aside. Like I just said, it would have been completely fine if you decided in that conversation, I'm going to send him home. There wasn't anything else you were thinking about with that. There wasn't anything else that was happening. You were gonna send him home regardless. Like, did it need to play out this way? And I think Thomas is an idiot. Like, honestly, like, I don't care about his feelings that much. I'm just saying, why not make it happen at that time? And I don't know how much of that is Katie's say or not Katie's say, or what needed to play out this way or not. Kind of feels like they were trying to like reclaim some Hannah Brown energy here. But it's just like, we are not empowered by this action happening this way. It would have been way more empowering to me as a woman to have her be like, okay, I've heard your piece and I'm actually done with you in the one-on-one adult conversation that we're having, and send him home. To me, that's better. Honestly, this was so stupid.
Yeah. Was this the first no Rose dramatic confrontation exit? I don't remember seeing this before. What about with your stats? Have you seen this stat before?
I don't know. I would have to think back. Like, in my mind, it brought tease of the Hannah moving the podium for Luke elimination, which obviously happened much later. But this is also a different season when it comes to the unionizing of the players and like the impact that the players have on who stays and who goes. So I don't really know. I just think it would have been justified more if she had another conversation with Thomas or something else happened where they really drove home like how shady he was and how much of a liar he was or whatever. Like, she could have just told him all of this prior to. There was no new revelation that came through to prompt the I'm such a badass and I'm standing up for myself. Nothing new happened from her conversation with him to the rose ceremony. So it wasn't earned. It wasn't earned at all. It didn't make sense.
I'm wondering, I kind of agree with you here, BB. Did she do it to get more credibility with the men, or maybe to scare them into like, hey, if you're not here for the right reason, I'm going to embarrass you in front on national television and make you look like a complete fool? Like, maybe. It was just not cool. This was unique because she threw away the rose. Actually, I kind of think that she used it as the opportunity to have a rose to give to Blake here. That's what I think is why she ended up doing it this way. I mean, part of it. I mean, I think that it was to embarrass him. I think that it was probably producer thought it would be dramatic. I think that, like you're saying, it was like to be like a pro woman, like let me stand up for myself, et cetera, et cetera. I do also think it was a little bit to scare the men into not like doing things for the wrong reasons because she's going to call you out. And so it was a big combination. But I do think one of the main factors was because she had the intentions of giving a rose to Blake.
Yeah.
In her confessional right before she goes to see Blake, she talks about Thomas betrayed my trust, manipulated my emotions. I'm not your stepping stone. And I'm like, this is a lot of stuff that he didn't actually say that he was doing. You know what I mean? It's like she's filling the blanks to suit the narrative that he's more shitty than I actually think he is. I think he's a little bit dumb. I think he confessed too much. I think that he probably was kind of vibing with her a little bit and was surprised by it. And I think that they just really villainized him in a way that was like icky.
And again, he didn't say anything else that would have changed how she already felt going out of that conversation with him. There's nothing new added.
To me, she came off as a very mean girl by doing this. It was very unclassy. I agree, Dolores. I didn't enjoy that because I think that the more empowered position is how you were suggesting, is like to like look him straight in the eyes and be like, listen, this is how you're making me feel. I feel like the things that you're saying to me aren't genuine. I just don't feel that with you anymore, and I can't unsee it. So unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to give you a rose, and I'm not going to make you stand up there for me to embarrass you. So, I think we're gonna have to part ways now. That's what I would expect.
Yeah, or like I'm just hesitant of like blaming everything on Katie in this situation. This whole thing feels like very set up. I think there was a lot of things in motion here where like we've already known and we knew where everything was ending with this episode, which was that we were going to wrap up finally what was happening with Blake. This is something that's been built up for weeks. So we knew we were getting to a place where Blake was going to come back. It's a very convenient opportunity for it to be this dramatic rose ceremony where she calls Thomas's name and then tells him off and then he leaves. Like, it was all played out for the purposes of the show. I don't know how much she really went into how that played out. obviously she said the words, and I understand that no one was standing there like forcing her to say that. I just think the entire thing was pushed with a really kind of unfortunate agenda, and I don't think that we needed it to go that way. Even as an audience, do any of you feel better now that Thomas got told off? Like, no, I wasn't thinking. It wasn't like a Yusuf where I'm like, absolutely, Clara. Like, I want you to absolutely read Yusuf right now because he is a shitty person. But it wasn't that kind of situation. It was kind of just like, we're really forcing it to be this epic moment, and that's what I didn't like about it. It just felt like pushed, and I don't enjoy that.
So we'll just take a look at who we lost here tonight. I'm pretty sad.
Instagram fave, Christian.
Wait, you lost Connor C, correct?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was not
who?
Happen.
Who? Let's just get this down over here. And then I lost the plethora here. So I lost, Christian. Oops. And then I lost Thomas, my big point getter. And then I lost David as well. So sad. What a sad day. Lost quite a few people, but hopefully I got some points. So these are still people are gone as well. That's really sad because you still have a nice 9 up here and I only have 6.
Wow, I'm feeling good about my team.
Well, like, how is Josh still here? Like, what do you mean?
So Josh is like a really unexpected lull, and Courtney, where I'm like, okay, guys, stick around. But I'm feeling great about Andrew, Blake, Greg, the actor, and Justin, and Mike.
Yeah,
I'll leave it in there. Aaron, for me, I could take it or leave it, but like he's given me more than I could have expected in drafting him. So thank you for that. But those 5, I'm feeling good about
these
that.
guys are gone. Connor B is even kind of in the grand game here, like Catman. Biggest
Connor. Oh my god.
My biggest front person is Michael. It seems like all my eggs are in Michael's basket. So hilarious. I'll update our points after. I'm at 170, and I believe you're at 210 at this moment. So you're doing quite well. I got some points this episode. So did you. So hopefully I'll be able to catch up a little bit, but yes, 9-6 BB, not 9-3. I mean, BB always says. I'm thinking that we might be in the minority. I think that the Pulse of Bachelor Nation loved it. Well, we know that they're not the brightest stars in the sky here in Bachelor Nation. They like a lot of things that I hate.
They just like an obvious play. They're like, oh, woman tells man off, we stand. It's like, yeah, okay, sure, absolutely. Like, I love like a woman holding her ground against men, especially when she's in the right. But like, this wasn't it. Like, we can be critical of it not being it, right? Like, we're all feminists here. We all want to see this happen, but this was not like the shining example of women holding it down that I wanted to see personally.
I 100% agree. That's not my vibe. So Naomi says, bye guys. Hope to see you all next Thursday to discuss Love Island season 3. I'm not sure like the format I'm going to be doing it because it comes on every day. So I'm wondering if I'm going to pop on and do like a 20-minute recap every day in the afternoon sometimes with somebody or without somebody and just like go through the season and then do Love Island UK 7, do little videos. I'm not sure, but I do want to cover it because definitely it was really popular last year and it was really fun. It's just a lot more fun. And then did you see the cast? I'm going to do a cast review tomorrow.
Oh my God.
Cast is good.
I'm excited for UK Love Island. I've really missed it. During
I watched the first episode. It's good. I'll give you the...
Oh, please do. So during COVID, this is just my personal anecdote for all the Love Island fans out there. I feel really tied to Love Island because during COVID, when we were first locked down, I started watching Love Island UK proper and just like went through all of the seasons. So I just love it. I think it's so entertaining and I love so many personalities from that show. So I'm looking forward to this new season.
definitely looking forward to this season. The first episode is great. I can't wait to see the second episode. So hopefully the source where I got it is going to have it uploaded right away. So yeah, I'll give you the deets later. And don't worry, BB, I will always love you. You can make as many mistakes as you want because you're always hanging out and supporting. So we love it. Yeah, so Tanya seems to have all the front runners except for Michael. Yes, to make rub it in. Rub it in, rub it in, rub it in.
I'm just waiting for production to contact me for a job at this point. I'm like,
hey, no, but like I do get contacted also because I picked all the villains. Okay, because okay, first off, I just need to do one last recital here. I need to read the interaction that happened after the rose ceremony. So we see Katie, and actually we didn't mention this, but I really liked her in this dress. I thought she looked very pretty. I liked the dress, even though we're saying it's kind of like a champagne-y, sparkly kind of color. I liked it.
She looked good in this dress, for sure. She looked really nice.
She walks through the hallways of the Hyatt Resort, and knock, 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 she knocks on a door, and we see Blake open the door and poke his head out, hiding his body. Are you naked? Blake, I was not expecting you at all, for real. She's like, do you have a robe? He's like, I literally threw on boxers really quickly. Give me like 2 secs. Like, what was he just hanging out in his room naked? Okay, anyway.
I mean, it was probably like 5 a.m. or whatever time it was.
That's true, actually. Maybe he sleeps naked or something. So, anyways, he's like, give me 2 secs. Close the door. And he's like, get it. She's like, get a robe on. And then later, she's like, I can come back another time. He's like, no, hold on. So he comes back, opens the door, and comes outside in a hoodie. We didn't see him from the bottom down. What were you doing? She asks. Putting a mint in my mouth. I don't have a robe. I was not expecting to see you. I gotta collect my mind. Hi, how are you? He's like, there's a lot going on in my mind. And then she's like, yeah, I really had to follow my gut and everything and everything. And given what things are and how I'm feeling, if you want to stay, I'd like you to stay and see if there's something, if this can become something, if that interests you. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Sorry you had to wait so long. I'll take it. This is while they're embracing. But hopefully the wait was worth it. Yes, definitely. She's like, you should give up this room because you're moving into the house tomorrow. And then as she leaves, he says, you look great again. Blake locks himself out of his room. He's in his boxers and a hoodie. And then that is it. We get trailers for the next episode where my man, Hunter, the flame of the new villain of the season, Hunter.
I'm honestly so concerned for that. That's really messed up. Like, the physical, the like absurd physical contact. Hunter's jacked up right now. He's so mad. He's so mad still about Thomas. He's mad about a lot of things. There is no way these guys are going to take Blake being there well. There's no way. No way.
No.
That's going to be awful. Yeah. So I feel like that's going to be wild. But who do you think gets medically evacuated?
What if it's Greg?
That would work to his advantage.
I could see it being Greg, maybe, because maybe that's why she's crying. She's like, this is not what I expected. Like, maybe Greg goes home. Or like gets taken out for a little bit. Maybe that's how he ends up leaving and coming back, because that's what's also been speculated. The right comeback moment. So I think and Hunter is out for blood for the people that he's most threatened by, right? Like, we may not have liked Thomas and maybe his intentions weren't great, but they did have a more of a connection between them than Hunter and Katie have together. Like, undoubtedly. So Hunter might be just trying to get rid of his major competition here. And so to me, that would be Greg, because Greg is the front runner, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought Blake was there with Sandy. Stop it, you're disgusting. Gross, that's so gross. Saying that that's who he was hanging out with in his room. That's why he was so surprised to see her. Tamika, I'm not so surprised that Hunter is the next villain. What it seems like is like there's this like the spirit comes and takes like, so the first is the spirit of Carl, is like it's like first it was Cody, the bad guy spirit, and then it just like, and like the next evil villain is Carl, and then Carl's gone, and like and comes in and takes over Thomas's body, and Thomas is gone. Now it's like now it's Hunter. Hunter.
Oh, for sure.
Who's gonna be the next villain after Hunter?
Oh, Greg, I would say.
Ooh, that's juicy. That's juicy. You guys dying laughing. They thought that they were so worried about Thomas and Blake is going to blindside them. LOL. Yeah, they are not even going to be able to mess with Blake. Like, not at all. Like, they won't. It won't work. And that will be kind of interesting.
No.
Tamika agrees with you, Greg.
Yeah, Greg. I think so. I think that's going to start to be revealed. Jinx on you, Tamika. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Blake has the experience, right? Like, at the end of the day, not only is he coming in the favored position where Katie clearly has extreme chemistry with him and is so happy to see him there, but he's also been on the show before. So he's in a good spot. He's in a good spot.
Now, my favorite moment, I think, was the outro with Caitlin and Tayshia talking about trying the pepper. And you must have written down this line, but they're talking in a confessional, I think it was, and it was after they had the peppers and they couldn't have the milk, and like it was just gross, and like they didn't enjoy the pepper moment. And Tayshia's talking, and Caitlin's like, "Your breath is burning my eyes."
Okay, so wait, am I missing are habanero peppers? Like,
yeah,
I feel like
they're spicy,
but like so high on the spice level.
No,
like
not that.
To the point
I
where
mean,
you eat one and you're gonna be like holding milk, like Greg, or is Greg just soft?
I think Greg's soft. Habanero is a spicy pepper, but like it's not like those ghost peppers that they had on the challenge. Like it's nothing like that.
Like I thought that was like maybe like a middle ground like heat pepper.
I think it's a high heat pepper. Like if you're going to a restaurant and you want like super hot, like the hot sauce, it's going to be habanero probably. But it's not. I don't think it's like the hottest. Like I think it's definitely a low, like a mid high pepper, like mid.
Okay.
But I don't think it. I've had habaneros. They're not that. I've had way hotter peppers. I worked at a Mexican restaurant, and like we had to try all these peppers all the time, and it was hot, but it wasn't that bad.
Right.
Definitely. Every time a villain, Whoopi should whisper to this, "Turn you in danger, girl."
Someone has to assume the position.
I can't wait though. That's like kind of more entertaining to me than this season, actually. So my favorites for Katie are currently Andrew S. and Blake, for real. I mean, I'm fine with Blake going in and messing this up. I'm okay with it. It's fine by me.
I agree with Tamika. Like, love Andrew. I think he's great. Looking forward to their one-on-one. I think he will go far, for sure. And I think her and Blake are, like, to me, I'm really having a difficult time for anyone to convince me that Blake doesn't win the show right now.
Okay.
Like, that's fully where I'm at. Like, I'm not even over exaggerating. I think the winner is going to be Blake Moyens. I believe that to be true.
Wow.
There's no way that she is not so into that guy based on what we saw in this last episode.
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
I agree with you here. And this makes everything fall into place here. Okay. So then that would mean I do think that Greg is going to be the one that is going to get medically evacuated. I think she's going to be confronted because she really thought he was going to go at least to the hometowns, like she was going to go far. I think that allows her to open herself up to having Blake be the front runner here. Like she can just really explore that because she doesn't have the distraction necessarily of Greg. And then I do think that Greg is going to come back and like disrupt her now thinking that Blake's a front runner. Oh my God, who do I choose between Blake and Greg? And that's how I think things are going to go down this season.
I think that would be really interesting, and I could see it all happening for sure.
Yeah, and Michael will probably get up there into top 4 too. I think Michael
will be top 4.
If Greg's around, it'll be Greg, Blake, Michael, and Andrew S. I think those are the top 4. Yeah.
I agree with that.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for hanging out. We didn't think that we'd squeak out 2 hours, but lo and behold, we still managed to do so. Will contestants' communication be the demise of the franchise? Claire, Dale, Katie, Blake, if Tanya is correct. Or we're going to have to watch the show for different reasons, right? Like, it's just going to have to become something different.
I'm going to have to change up the relationship between us and social. Like, obviously, people talk. Like, I think it's silly to not think that there's already game happening before the game begins. So I'm curious, like, is it bringing several people in that already have talked to this person? You know, like, I don't know what that looks like in the future, but you're definitely, actually, I don't know. Historically, it's like kind of mixed in terms of people who come back. Because you have some people that come back that do really well, like a Nick or like a Becca Tilley, who like make it kind of really far. And then people like a Heather or Chris Bukowski or whoever you want to pick that don't really get any traction. So I guess it depends on how good of a match it is. I don't really know. But
I mean, I think that in the climate that we're in, it's not, I don't think it's going to be the demise of the franchise. I think they're just going to lean into it even more. And just like, we know that every season, there's going to be somebody that comes for the lead that's not part of the main cast, that's from the franchise. I think it's just something that we can expect now. It doesn't bother me that much. I'm reviewing Love Island with a co-host this year. I don't know, Sam. I'm gonna see what happens. It's gonna happen. It really depends. I'm gonna figure it out. That's what I'm working on right now. Is like, 'cause it's such a big commitment. I will be covering it for sure. It might not be a permanent co-host. I'm not sure. If anybody wants to do it with me, I'm taking the applications. If you want to hang out with me and talk about this on a daily basis, I am down.
5 days a week. 5 days a week.
Exactly.
6 if you include what is it called now in the episode where they like recap the unseen bits?
Yes, unseen bits. So you figure it out. So Sam, if you're interested in that role, we can make it happen. Do you really, Tamika? If you want to do it with me daily, like you're in. I can do it. We both have the same last name. We can pretend that we're related, and we have our I was going to say our boy Aaron, but that's from the UK one. There's an Aaron Francis that's on the cast. So message me, Tamika, and we can make that happen if it's something that you're actually interested in doing. I was going to say one last thing. Oh, this is a kind of a spoiler if anybody doesn't want to hear this. I don't know if it's real or not. I don't think you'll care, Tanya, but it has been rumored that Mike is in the running to be the next Bachelor. Michael is in the running. It makes sense. It also said that he was approached to be on the Bachelorette season. So like right there, is he on there for the right reasons? You know what I mean? Like he has a great story. Some producer heard it, wanted him to be on the show. And so
that also means he doesn't win.
I mean, I didn't think he was going to win. But anyways, that was, that's a rumor. I don't know if that's 100% true, obviously.
I mean, that's, American people will love it.
I'm so not into him as the Bachelor.
I need to see more of him to decide how I feel about that personally. He seems nice, but I think they're
right. They're not going to go back to that well. They won't go back to that well. That would be amazing.
He's like, I think he's past it at this point.
It's way gone. or I hadn't heard, but based on his package, I figured, yeah. I mean, it's just kind of like a loose rumor. I haven't heard like any like confirmed anything, and obviously that's a year from now. I think it's for like 2022. So like, there's literally like at least 6 months before it actually is a real deal. But we'll see what happens. Well, that's all she wrote. And if anybody wants to hang out with me and talk about Love Island, message me. You can like email me at realityrealness with 3 S's. We can chat about your intentions. If you have true intentions here. And then obviously we'll just like make sure you help us out here with a little follow, a little subscribe, share this with your friends. We love hanging out with you guys. We're on our way to 10,000 subscribers, so let's just get there. Woo! And that would be pretty cool. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So love you guys all in the chat. Super fun. Thank you as well, BB.
Thank you.
Thank you all. We will see you next week for sure. For more than
see you in a week.